I guess, though, in the interest of providing not a rebuttal, because I think it's a great and very thoughtful piece of work that you've done, but let's say an adjutant, just to help discussion along, I present a view, I guess, that there are no extreme parties in mainstream politics in Australia at the moment. So last year, the Labor Party got a few headlines saying the Greens are extremists, we don't want to do business with them anymore. At the moment, a number of people are saying we must band together on the left because Tony Abbott is an extremist, and we can't allow an Abbott government and his extreme conservatism to take over the country. But I guess I'd like to challenge that idea and say that I actually don't think that there are any genuine conservatives, in a way that we would have understood the term up until 20 years ago, left in this race. And equally, there aren't any real progressives in this race either, not in the sense that we used to think about progressives as being about the great spirit of human progress, the kind of progressivism that built railways across the desert, the sort of progressivism that dreamed of building a nation of 200 million people here and a capital to rival Chicago and Paris. And whenever I get despondent, I like to reread the debates that happened before they built Canberra, and to think about the kinds of politicians who dreamed of a city to rival Chicago and Paris, because that's the kind of country that we were going to build here. And I think surely at some point we'll restore that kind of imagination to politics. So basically we have three major parties at the moment, Labor, Liberal and Greens, who are all essentially social democrats. There's no party in Australia that fully supports a planned economy or fully supports a free market. All three are in favour of a mixed economy, a big role for the public sector, and ad hoc industry subsidies. They've all lined up for automotive subsidies over the last couple of weeks, national broadband network, and a whole range of other publicly subsidised infrastructure projects. None enthusiastically support the free movement of labour and capital, and are variously and all opposed to limits on immigration, foreign investment and property ownership by foreign nationals. None are proposing major changes to the taxation system. The Greens propose a top marginal rate of 50% for people who earn $1 million PAYE. The Libs are proposing a minor reduction on company tax, but there's no root and branch tax reform, which is a shame given Ken Henry left a rather nice blueprint sitting around somewhere in an office in Canberra recently. There's also no party genuinely proposing any changes to get the government out of private life, to challenge the growing public health agenda, restrictions on food consumption, alcohol consumption, recreational activities, and our private choices around risk in sport and play or risk in our business transactions. There's no large party promising any change to Medicare, which accounts for 40% of the Commonwealth Government's expenditure. So that's nearly half of everything that the Commonwealth Government does has been put to one side in this election and left away from any discussion about what any of the parties would do should they win. In fact, all of them are talking about expanding Medicare into dental care, introducing disability care, and all have signed up for the Gonski funding reforms and an increased role for government in aged care. So there aren't really any Liberal parties. There isn't really a Conservative party. There isn't really a Labor party, and not particularly an extreme Green party, really, given the limits of their aspirations for stated policy changes. So what we have is what a wittier person than I recently called on Twitter the narcissism of small differences.